Hey there, it's Blue Gal, and isn't it about time I did a knitting podcast because I don't have enough to do. Um, I decided that it was time for me to share knitting on YouTube, so I'm doing that, and I'm going to try to do it. I think once a week. I've got enough content written down. I did a bunch of brainstorming this morning. I think I've got enough content to get me through the summer, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I'm excited. I wanted to share what I'm knitting, and this is what I'm knitting. That's what this is about. Don't have a name yet. I think it's just going to be Blue Gal's Knitting Podcast because that makes a lot of sense. And I am wearing a sweater I knit. This is called Divide and Conquer. It is by Sally Melville. It was such a fun knit. And crochet. These are crocheted squares, crocheted granny squares made out of mostly Zabberball Crazy in the colorway Deep Water. And then the solid is Barocco Ultra Wool. And that's a DK weight wool. So it's fingering weight, granny squares, and DK weight knitting. And you combine them and you do solid sleeves, and it's a nice basket weave type pattern. I will link to my Ravelry page where I have pictures of the whole sweater, and you can see that. But what a fun thing to make. I made that this year. But today, for my first podcast in the knitting world, I'm going to talk about socks because I'm a big sock knitter. I started at the beginning of last year, 2023, knitting a pair of socks every single month. And I've done that. I did that for the entire year of 2023, and then I did it. I've been doing it this year as well. So I am on my 18th pair of socks since 2023, since the beginning of the year of 2023. So this is my current sock. And there's a reason that I'm knitting this sock, and I'll explain it to you why. I'm doing what I started this year, just last month actually, is I joined in with the Grocery Girls, who have a knitting podcast, and their group on Ravelry does Sock Talk, TAWK. And they knit a pair of socks or a sock a month, and they have a theme. And every month they change the theme of the sock that people are knitting. And what I found by doing that, by joining in on that, is that I shopped my stash in a completely different way. So for instance, last month, May, and I can show you, this is at their Ravelry page. So May was From the Garden, and I used some very old Zen Yarn Garden sock yarn. I'm sorry I don't have the socks, but youngest child took them to college right away as soon as I finished them. This month, June, is My Favorite Designer. And so I am knitting using, let me see. This is Arne and Carlos yarn. They do self-striping, or did. I think they still make this. Self-striping yarns in bright colors. And the pattern I'm using is simply the sock yarn pattern in my head, which is based upon Yarn Harlot's sock recipe. And it's just, I don't need a pattern to knit a pair of socks. I just cast on and do it these days because I've done it so much. But the Yarn Harlot recipe, which is just guidelines, is really, really helpful. And so I've been knitting socks, like I said, lots and lots of socks. I pulled out the ones that youngest child hasn't taken yet. These I knit earlier this year. These are heavy as heck. These are just Croy, from Joann Fabrics, scraps of Croy. And I made the mistake of knitting these on size 1 needles. I really could have gone up to 3s. These are really dense and heavy. I would have gone a lot looser with my gauge and fewer stitches. But as it is, I knit them and they're good heavy winter socks. I'll wear these around the house in the wintertime. And then I inherited some really that now that's low end. That's those probably cost less than $20. On the high end scale, this is Knit Circus. This is Knit Circus Greatest of Ease in the colorway Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy. And I don't know if you can see the yellow in that, but there's a yellow stripe that runs through that for the lemon. And then you've got blueberry and raspberry or whatever in between. This is really expensive yarn. I inherited this yarn, literally, and boy, it's cushy, it's gorgeous. And, $48 a skein. So thank you for leaving this to me. So one of the ways I got started in sock knitting is I started 5 years ago. I've been knitting socks on and off, just sort of whenever I feel like, usually having a sock going, but not finishing them often and so forth. And I started it 5 years ago in 2020 with Sock Week. And there is a knitting vlogger who I'm sure nearly all of you are familiar with. Her name is Knitty Natty. She sponsors and arranges and organizes Sock Week, which used to coordinate with Shark Week. Now it's just a week in the summertime of her choosing, where everyone knits one sock in a week. And what I found is that I was so focused on just that project for that week that it really improved my sock knitting. And so every year since then, I have been knitting socks. Like I said, now I'm doing them once a month, but definitely for Sock Week, I've always joined in and finished a sock in a week. And I learned so much about my process for knitting socks that double pointed needles, when I'm knitting the tube, are much faster for me than using any other method. But when I do the heel, I switch to circulars so that the stitches are secure. I'm right now on the second sock with this Arne and Carlos yarn and picking up, and you can see that I just finished the heel this morning. I've got it on the 2 circular to keep all the stitches secure, and I'm about to switch back to double pointeds and I use 4, not 5, just to go faster. It's fat. My muscle memory says double pointed needles are faster. The other thing I do to count rows is I use a thin cotton string, often embroidery floss, and just do a stitch every 10 rows to keep track of where I am, rather than stitch markers. I find it faster to count, and I can do 30 rows at a time if I need to. And then it's smooth and it comes in a billion colors. You can get neon green embroidery floss, for under $1.25, and that's enough to keep you going with marking rows for a very long time. So the next month's Grocery Girls sock is Stripes, and it's also Sock Week. Sock Week is in mid to late July, and the Grocery Girls allow you, when you're doing Sock Talk socks, to overlap with other knit-alongs. So I'll be able to do my Sock Week sock and my Grocery Girls sock with the same sock. And so it's Stripes, and I'm thinking about doing a sock that is designed by one of the Grocery Girls. This is Tracy Miller's sock. It's called I want to say Happy Days. Let me make sure I've got that here. I think it's Happy Place socks. And the Happy Place socks have a really fun stripe to it. They keep the instep and the heel in a solid bright color, and then bright high contrast stripes going down the foot and at the cuff. And these are DK weight socks. So I'm going to do fingering weight socks for this particular month. But I'm going to use this kind of stripe. And what Nitty Natty has always done in the past is she's had a shark or beach themed. You get extra points in this knit along. And I guess there are prizes. I never win prizes. I never worry about that. But you get extra points in the knit along for sock week if it's a shark themed sock or a beach themed sock. Also, if you buy from the vendors that she has uh, cooperating with Sock Week, she hires vendors or cooperates with vendors so that there is yarn and bags and stitch markers and all kinds of things you can buy to participate, but you're not required to. I made my own little bag last year, which has, I don't know if I can show you this. It has sharks on it. So that's my little sock bag for Sock Week, but I use it all the time. That's my sock bag. And inside is yarn. The yarn that I'm using, here it is. Regia, design lined Arne and Carlos. There you go. See that? There we go. All right. And the color is, it is color 3830. And it's Arne and Carlos 4-ply. So she has always done like a beach theme, Nitty Natty, beach theme, shark theme, ocean theme type of thing. So my plan had been to do, this is Hedgehog Fibers, which is one of my favorite sock yarns. A little pricey, but the colors are fantastic. This color is Merman, not mermaid, Merman. And very blue and lots of hot pink in there and white and a little lime green even. Very funky color. But Nitty Natty has been traveling across the country and going to lots of national parks and lots of fun things, doing lots of fun things with camping in the woods and so forth. So she's adding to her Sock Week this year, and the merchandise that she's promoting is mostly woods and sunset and pine trees, that sort of thing, camping. The bags have camping, campfire stuff on them and so forth. So changing gears, which I can do that. And I'll get to the merman socks at some point. I also inherited this. This is so great. This is Lorna's Laces Shepherd Sock in Splattershot. The colorway is October 2019 Denali. And that is, there we go. Good focus there. It's got green and gray and lavender in it. And then my guild went this weekend to, we are so blessed to have as our local yarn store up the road in Clinton, Illinois, Leading Men Fibers. I mean, really, we can drive to Leading Men Fibers in an hour. Isn't that remarkable? If you have not visited Leading Men Fibers website and seen their hand-dyed yarns, you need to go there. And so we all went, the whole guild. They opened up on Sunday just for us. We have 16 regular members in our guild, a knitting guild, and so we all went, had lunch in Clinton, and then went yarn shopping. And I got to go with this Lorna's Laces, which, discontinued, out of stock. They don't exist anymore. I got this. I'm going to try to find it. There we go. Leading Men Fiber Arts. This is Showstopper Intermission, which is in the color Without a Paddle, and very, very much coordinates with, and there's a really nice dark stripe of that olive green in the Denali, what is it? October 2019 Denali yarn. So, and then I decided, because there was a little bit of lavender for the third stripe, I'm going to use this lavender. Let's see if I can get that color to show up. Okay. And as I said in my notes, I would not bet the farm, but I would bet the cow that this is also hedgehog fiber. I don't remember, and if I looked at the bottom of my drawer, I'd find a label somewhere. I'm pretty sure this is hedgehog sock. So that's going to be that. These three, in a stripe like this, and that's my plan for the July sock. So just to talk a little bit more about process of socks, what I do is I cast on, with all of my socks, I cast on the 64 stitches. I cast them on flat on circular needles, and I cast on 65, and then I knit one, purl one for 3 rows. And then I go ahead and transfer that to double pointeds, because with those 3 rows of knit one, purl one, I don't twist it. You don't want to be knitting a Mobius strip and have a twist in your yarn. So I go ahead and I can show you on this one, knit flat for 3 rows, and then I have an extra stitch on there. And when I go ahead and pick up with the double pointed, I knit the first and last stitch together, and then go around again with knit one, purl one. And I usually put a knit one, purl one cuff on my socks. And then on these, I switch to knit 3, purl one, which with self-striping yarn is a really nice way to show off the stripes, because it's majority stockinette and lets you show off the stripes. And then, so what you have when you've done is you've cast on, you've got 3 rows to sew together with the end to work in. So it's not extra work. And it saves you a lot of time from not twisting your tube. And as I said, then I switch, I do that in double pointeds, and then I switch back and I put the top of the sock on one circular and the heel on the other circular, and I knit the heel in partridge stitch, eye of partridge stitch, and then turn the heel, and now I'm going to get ready to switch back to double pointeds. This sock yarn was amazing in that I made sure to start the sock with this blue and green gray stripe. I grabbed that and folded the blue in half to make sure I was starting at that exact spot in the stripe sequence. And when I got done with this sock and cut it off at the toe, because I go top down, I only had to pull out that much before I was at the same spot again, with the blue, folding it in half, and the green gray. And then you'll see as I knit these, honey, they match. So that is wicked cool. I'm very excited about that. And that's it. I'll tell you what the other socks themes are for the Grocery Girls. We've got June is my favorite designer, July stripes, August basket weave, September cables, October autumn shades, November DK weight yarn, and December scrappy socks. So they do these themes every year, and then people post their socks and so forth. And it really has helped me shop my stash differently. As I said, with this From the Garden in May, I would have never cast on socks with that Zen Yarn Garden that I had for years and knit them. But I did because it was with the theme, and going through your stash and saying, well, what sock yarn would look good with basket weave, or what sock yarn do I have that's autumn shades? I have so much blue and so much blue, period, blue in my stash, and purples and teals. I mean, that's the way my brain goes. So finding autumn shades in my stash was fun. I mean, I went through everything looking for something. I was like, oh yeah, there's some. And so it makes you look at your stash differently. It makes you pull stuff out and plan to knit with it, which is awesome, and finish some socks. And so that's what I'm doing this month. Now, I'm going to try to do these podcasts once a week and share with you what's going on. I've got some ideas for future episodes. I'm going to do one on stash management and stash acquisition beyond life expectancy. As I say, I inherited some of this yarn. And when I say inherited, I mean inherited. Uh, Knitting for others versus selfish knitting. I've learned some important lessons about that in my life. Hat knitting and activism. There's another Women's March coming in October, the October Surprise March on October 5th. Get ready for that. I'm going to talk about being on the spectrum and having ADHD and obsessive interests and knitting and how all of that fits together in my life. I'm going to talk about a project that I can't talk about yet, but I've been knitting a lot of cowls this year, and it's connected to something very important and exciting. And I'm going to talk to you about that in one episode as soon as I finish the last two cowls. And Blue Driftglass told me to do a podcast about coping with a non-knitting spouse. I don't know what he's talking about there, but we'll see where we go with that one. I might need some help from him with the script for that one. He's working on a script right now for our Thursday political podcast, which is Professional Left, proleftpod.com. But I'm going to do this knitting podcast once a week on Wednesdays and post it. And this is the first one, and it's very rough, but it will get better, as I know it will, because I've been podcasting with Professional Left and Science Fiction University and No Fair Remembering Stuff. We started Professional Left in 2010, so I've been podcasting since forever. And before that, I did a weekly video blog as Blue Gal. So that was forever ago. I've gone gray since then. So I'm looking forward to this, though. This is really going to be fun to share with you guys what I'm knitting, how I feel about yarn. I don't think it'll be too controversial, although, team Magic Loop might be on my case about the double pointeds. I don't know. But whatever works for you, knitter's choice. All right. Well, thank you for watching this. And if you have any suggestions, please leave a comment. I appreciate you, and I hope you are knitting something wonderful this week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.